Quick question. How many unique passwords do you have? In this modern technological age, passwords are on everything from your TV to your phones and other smart devices, like your refrigerator these days. But why has it become so difficult? Coming up on this episode of It's Your Break, we're going to go over how things shouldn't be so difficult, but often are. And it's next here on It's Your Break. Hey, you. Are you following us? Oh, don't worry. You should be. You should be following us everywhere on our socials like Instagram, Threads, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube, all at It's Your Break. And you should be consuming us on your favorite podcast app like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Audible, and iHeartRadio. So, it's okay. We want you to follow us. And remember to like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, leave us a comment or two, and maybe even a review.
When It's Your Break was created, the whole premise was to make sure people understood to take a break for themselves. We all need those reminders to laugh, to love, to have fun, and be a little silly. Just be in the moment and take a break. That's our mission. Just take a break and reset yourself. So welcome to It's Your Break.
I'm your host, Jonathan Mertz, and I'm glad you're joining me on this break here on It's Your Break. Before the promo break, I asked, how many unique passwords do you have? For me, it's more than 10, but like most of you, I've been guilty in the past of reusing passwords, which brings me up to my next question. How often are you changing those passwords? Here in the office, we change it monthly, and many experts recommend you change at least every 3 months if you have two-factor authentication enabled. Otherwise, you would need to do it monthly. In addition to the one-time passwords and password keys, it's made things a little easier for some applications and a little bit more secure, but you still have to set up a recovery method in case things go wrong, which they often do. When you set a new password, do you write it down to remember it? Something to think about there. If you do you put it on a sticky note or a piece of paper? If you do it that way, you really need to make sure they're secure. Also, do you use application like Apple's password app? I'm asking all of this just to emphasize how complicated it has become to secure your data. And I haven't even mentioned that you probably have separate usernames for each of those applications or services that you use. And they all have their own password. We hadn't even scratched the surface of how complicated things have become, not only in technology, but also in our day-to-day lives. Technology obviously is the leading variable in all of it. Take a doctor's visit, for example. First, they're often extremely difficult to schedule in a time manner that works best for you, not to mention that some specialists have a year-long waiting list, which is not good for people with severe problems. Outside of the scheduling issue, the documentation these medical entities require is absolutely absurd. You almost have to tell your entire life story every time you visit. If you have to see a specialist who happens to work for the same group of doctors, it's like their systems don't even talk to each other sometimes, and you have to fill everything out over again. Thankfully, there's been some improvement in this area, and it's all been tied together through apps like MyChart, which requires, again, a username and a password. However, I'm a fan of MyChart. It's been a huge improvement in the ease and access to my medical professionals, as well as getting things scheduled. And we need more improvements like this. And I've only touched on 2 topics so far, which really shouldn't be difficult, but are. And for the sake of time, I'm going to list several things that have either gotten worse or that have always been bad. And those are canceling subscriptions, buying a car, buying a house, getting a lease on any type of housing, whether it's a rental house or an apartment, getting and renewing your driver's licenses, getting a passport, and monitoring your credit. We could dedicate an entire episode to each of the items I just listed. But the focus of this break is to vent and just point out how ridiculous and how many things are difficult these days that really shouldn't be. Most of these complications stem from changes in technology security, government regulations, and of course, business preference. So, what can you do to make things easier? A few things you can do are to keep up with the changes and their difficulty and plan accordingly. Research and planning are critical into helping navigate you through these processes. There are numerous people out there always posting ways to make things easier that may involve these exact processes. However, don't take everything as factual and verify it with a credible source and look for references. For your tech devices, review the manufacturer's update release notes and business requirements. Apple is decent at letting people know what changes it's making. However, it's worth noting that many companies tuck away changes in their terms of service, so make sure you're reading those. If you're renewing your driver's license, schedule ahead. If you're buying a car, do your research and find out which dealerships have the best customer service, sales, and reviews. Know what your limitations are before making any changes or buying anything. Set your budget and spending limitations, and I repeat, do not get talked into buying more than you planned for, because people will always try to upsell you. You won't believe what a little bit of education, planning, and organization can do to help make things easier. I'm always seeking ways to improve in all of these areas. Lastly, speak up and talk to the businesses. Talk to these government entities. They often have pathways to make suggestions and changes. Who knows? Maybe your idea could make it easier for everyone. And there's been some really good news regarding subscription cancellations. Many government regulations are now being implemented to make it easier to cancel. But it's still up to these businesses to comply with those regulations. I know, I threw a lot at you. But don't stress out, because you got this, even if it gets more difficult than you expect. Seek help. That's what I do, because, I don't know it all, nor should I always have to do it by myself. Find the best way to make it easier for you. Well, that's all I'm going to say about this for now, on how things are so difficult, but really shouldn't be. So I'm curious now. How do you make things easier for yourself? Share your tips and tricks in the comments and help out others. Until next time, I'm Jonathan Mertz with It's Your Break. And remember to take a break for yourself.
This episode of It's Your Break was not a paid advertisement. It's Your Break is a news and entertainment podcast. The thoughts and comments of the host or guest are those of the individual speaking, and not necessarily that of It's Your Break or Spark a Vision. Follow It's Your Break on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and YouTube at It's Your Break. Subscribe and follow on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, and iHeart. This podcast is owned, produced, and distributed by Spark a Vision and is hosted by Jonathan Mertz. Copyright It's Your Break and Spark a Vision. All rights reserved.